No funny transition sounds this time. It'd be in poor taste, and there's really not a whole lot that sets each one apart. Melissa Morris has had a food addiction as far back as she can remember. She'd always excuse it by saying if she had a weight problem, she wouldn't even be able to walk. This mindset led to her ballooning up to 645 pounds. She can still walk, but not for long, usually needing an electric scooter at the grocery store. Strangers there look at her funny, which greatly affects her self-esteem. Plenty of other basic things are a struggle for Melissa. Most of the time, she needs help from her husband, Chris. He's been somewhat of an enabler, which he regrets immensely. The couple wants to start a family, but because of Melissa's weight, they can't. This is 2004. Doctors are hesitant to operate on morbidly obese patients. Their chance of surviving is less than 5%, so gastric bypass has never really been an option. Until now. In Melissa's home state of Texas, TLC is filming a 5-part documentary on weight loss, and at the forefront of it is Dr. Yunan Nowzaradan, shortened to Dr. Now. Nobody's more qualified than him in this field, and his breakthroughs could make the surgery a lot less risky, but first he needs to test them, and Melissa is happy to volunteer. Although it could cost her her life, her current trajectory has even worse odds. If she's gonna go out, it won't be without a fight. So the procedure is shown on camera. I would really prefer if they did not do this. It's fucking gross. Not even in a TLC way where it gets your attention. This serves zero purpose. I'm a nice guy, so instead of subjecting you to that, I'm gonna use this time to talk about private internet access, the sponsor of today's video. Browsing the internet without a virtual private network, or VPN, is like having your meals displayed on a billboard. Everyone in the city will know you had 10 Baconators this month. Normally, your device transmits all kinds of information out in the open, which can be viewed by several different entities before reaching its intended website. But a VPN app hides your IP address and safeguards your connection through an encrypted tunnel. That way, your ISP, network admins, and government don't know what you're doing. Private internet access is one such service, and it's the most transparent. With over 30 million downloads, it never records or stores user data. This policy has been proven true multiple times in court and by a third party. Also, it works with all major streaming services. Ever try to find a movie on Netflix only to find out that it's not available? With private internet access, you could change your location to one of 91 regions and access all new catalogs of titles. Want to watch The Whale but don't live in any of these countries? Private internet access has you covered. And all it takes is just one subscription to protect every single device you own. If you use my link, you could get an 83% discount and also get 4 months completely free. Thanks to private internet access for sponsoring this video. Let's continue. All goes well with the surgery. Melissa's 20 pounds lighter, and just a few bites of Jell-O make her full. Very early on, Melissa's life improves tenfold. She can go up and down the stairs much easier, and actually enjoys going outside. The fatty foods she used to binge now make her sick, so her diet mainly consists of proteins. Chris too has lost weight himself. Even the aspect ratio lost weight. Melissa's supposed to lose 30 pounds a month after the surgery. It's been 4 months. Ergo, the scale should be 120 pounds less, but it isn't. It's 140 pounds less. There's no doubt about it, Melissa's on a roll. She has had cravings at times, but is able to beat them no problem. Like when Chris's lunch basket is filled with junk food. All she has to do is cover it up with yarn. Also, she's bought a purse to hide her fat. That way she's not embarrassed in public. For once, Melissa is confident enough to visit family, showing everyone just how far she's come. Though on the flight there, she still had to buy 2 seats. But she won't have to much longer at the rate she's going. As the months go by, her sagging skin starts causing problems, meaning it's time for skin removal surgery. This one is also risky, but again, it's either get slim or die trying. And they show this procedure too, why? And you can't skip it here because there's a pivotal revelation. Here she opens up about something dark. As a kid, she was the victim of an unspeakable act. It no doubt played a role in her weight gain, though she blamed herself more than the perpetrator. That made it all the more difficult to come to terms with, but now she's on the path to recovery. The operation's another success, and her skin is donated to help burn victims. Melissa's at the point where she can drive now, so she goes and gets her license. Above all else though, she and Chris are finally able to have a daughter. The marriage would fall apart after Melissa discovered Chris was cheating, but that didn't dampen her spirits. She's kept on thriving now that the weight is finally gone. And that was the world's introduction to My 600-Pound Life. As to be expected with an early episode, it's rough. Going forward, they'd have to iron out many of the kinks. For one, they now film over the course of a year rather than several years, obviously so episodes don't take forever. They also changed it so that in order to get the surgery, a patient must lose weight themselves to prove they're making an effort. They still show the procedures, although thankfully they stopped putting crucial story elements there. Melissa Morris was the first of many patients in this long-running series, and a good one to start with. She was a positive person who owned up to her situation, then fixed it without missing a beat. However, not every participant would be like her. As far back as 2nd grade, Penny Saegar felt more overweight than her peers. Her upbringing was tough, experiencing harsh abuse from her alcoholic father. Food was where she found comfort, a habit that persisted well into adulthood. Now at 530 pounds, Penny is bedbound, diabetic, and makes frequent visits to the hospital. Her husband, Edgar, cannot work at all, because he has to do everything for her. Their only source of income is disability checks. All of this has made parenting their son Liam very difficult, not to mention he's developing unhealthy eating habits. Fearing that he may grow up without a mother, Penny and Edgar begin their trip to Texas to meet with Dr. Now. Paramedics are needed just to bring her into the van, where she'll have to lie down on a mattress for the whole ride. Throughout it, she complains constantly and begs Edgar to stop by a couple drive-thrus. He always obeys, continuing to enable her destructive habits. Once Penny reaches the hospital, Dr. Now discovers she has an 85.7 BMI, more than double what is considered morbid obesity. Also, the oxygen nasal cannula she wears is completely unnecessary. The only possible reason she wears it is for pity. Before she embarks on her weight loss journey, Edgar brings one last soda. For the next month, she can only eat what the staff will give her. Things seem promising at first. She ends up losing more than what's required for the surgery. But after a successful procedure, her true colors show. Penny berates the staff for giving her small meals. She's so accustomed to being in bed that she refuses to get up. Her weight has remained stagnant since the surgery, which is never supposed to happen in the program. Someone, most likely Edgar, must be smuggling junk food. Until she can improve herself, Dr. Now has no choice but to kick her out. Penny comes back to their new Houston apartment and continues her same old routine. A physical therapist stops by to get her up and moving, but she refuses to cooperate. Fast forward 2 months later, Penny has missed every follow-up appointment with Dr. Now. She's adamant that she's making progress, but the scale says otherwise, and Dr. Now is pissed. I wish I could show you Dr. Now's lectures, but copyright's a bitch, and I'm not gonna send it to the depths of hell like last time. But then, after having to miss Liam's kindergarten graduation, Penny starts actually trying. Now she's dieting and practicing getting out of bed. The future looks bright. For a couple months, then she reverts back to her old ways. A dietitian is called in, but as expected, her advice falls on deaf ears. Penny weighs herself one last time, and it has not changed at all. There's nothing Dr. Now can do to fix her selfish behavior, so Penny decides to leave the program and go back to Maryland. She thinks that without constant pressure, she'll lose the weight naturally. Well, her Where Are They Now episode 1 year later shows she really hasn't changed. She's refused to step on a scale, and has taken up a bizarre new hobby, couponing. Her reasoning is that it saves money better spent on healthy foods, except the family has yet to purchase these healthy foods. Penny also admits that whenever the hospital gave her cereal, she'd use ginger ale or Diet Sprite as milk. That should warrant a ban from every hospital in the country. Dr. Now is way too kind. One of her promises to Liam was to go trick-or-treating with him, but when Halloween arrives, she's barely able to do so. Edgar has to carry her in a wheelchair. Penny appears to be perfectly comfortable with where she's at, even if it'll lead to a premature death. Justin McSwain did not have an easy childhood. His mother, Tara, got hooked on painkillers after a back injury, and when she lost access to them, she turned to harder stuff. Tara was prioritizing drugs over her own son, so Justin's father, Johnny, divorced her and took custody. 1 year later, he'd remarried to a mother of 2, adding more kids to the household. Justin felt like the odd one out. He became reclusive, shutting himself off in his bedroom most of the time. There really wasn't anything that made him happy. But then at age 10, his mother came back, free from all her addictions. Each weekend, Justin would go to her house, and she'd surprise him with all kinds of things. Movies, pizzas, cooked dinners. These were undoubtedly the best moments of his life. However, he'd also gained quite a lot from the junk food. Eating made him feel safe, because it reminded him of his mother. Unfortunately though, she'd fall back into her drug habits, and vanish once again. Now, all he had to look forward to was food. His stepmom tried to regulate it, but he'd always find a way around her. It only got worse when he left for college, because now he had free reign to eat whatever he wanted. In his first year, he weighed 320 pounds, but by the time he graduated, he was at 552. Justin could not get a regular job at that size, so he resorted to doing freelance work as a web designer. This endeavor was a huge success though. It earned him enough to buy his own house, but he rarely if ever went outside and did not cut back on his eating. He had friends, but whenever they wanted to hang out, he'd always make excuses to avoid it. As he continued to gain, his anxiety grew rapidly, leading to a major health scare. One day, he had to go somewhere for work, when all of a sudden, he had what felt like a heart attack. Justin was sent to the hospital where it was discovered to just be a panic attack. Still, this made him realize how dangerous his physique was, further worsening his anxiety. He started to ponder all kinds of scenarios where his weight could cost his life, and not just health-wise. What if he got into a car accident and they couldn't get him out in time? What if there was a fire and he couldn't run fast enough to the exit? A therapist diagnosed this as agoraphobia, the fear of situations you can't escape from. It got so bad that he had to quit his job and live off disability. Justin now is almost completely alone, with only his dog to keep him company. Tara only just recently became sober again, and has occasionally been checking in on him. Sometimes she'll even come over to cook one of his favorite meals. His father lives out of town, but if he's available, he'll come see him. That's about it for his social life. At any point, Tara could relapse and disappear again, leaving him with basically nobody. Justin's outlook is very bleak, but after learning of Dr. Now's program, he's decided not to give up. Before his flight, he stresses over what people will think of him. He isn't even sure if he'll fit in his seat yet. Luckily, he's able to get settled no problem, but during the flight, he gets antsy. It truly is his worst nightmare. A small enclosed space for several hours with no way out. By the time they land in Houston, his legs are too exhausted to walk, so he's carried out of the airport in a wheelchair and taken to the car rental. Tara doesn't have a credit card, so Justin has to rent it under his name and drive it, but he can't fit into any of the driver's seats. Not even the big SUVs are wide enough. His only option is to add Tara as a driver to the reservation, which costs extra money. But at the very least, they can finally head to their hotel and rest for tomorrow's appointment. Justin is weighed at 687 pounds, greatly exceeding his expectations. He starts to doubt Dr. Now's ability to save him, but then he walks in and lets them know that it's far from over. Dr. Now sets the goal of 100 pounds in 2 months and schedules a therapy meeting for his anxiety. Justin must also move to Houston with at least one other person. That way he's safe post-surgery. Back in South Carolina, he finds a gym where he can work out in private. It's perfect for him, since he doesn't have to worry about being judged. He's also eased into the diet very smoothly, giving him actual confidence for once. Tara also agrees to move to Texas with him if possible. It really couldn't be going better for Justin. Next appointment, he's down 92 pounds, very close to Dr. Now's goal. He's subsequently approved for surgery, and a couple weeks later, he's ready to go. Unfortunately, his mother can't move for financial reasons, leaving Justin in a bit of a pickle. His only other option is his father, who has quite a busy schedule. There's no guarantee he'll be able to go. Johnny comes over to discuss it, tells his son how proud he is, and says yes. At long last, Justin is ready for surgery, but because it took so much time, it's been tough for him to stick to the diet. He feels as if he's falling behind, and gets nervous about potentially losing eligibility. On move-in day, he can't carry all the furniture, which makes him feel weak and pitiful. But once it's time for the surgery, he finds out that he's lost an additional 86 pounds. Following the procedure, Justin's down to the 400s, and is finally addressing his anxiety. He's a completely different person now, and his mother is thrilled to see that. By the end of the episode, he's at 395, a nearly 300-pound decrease in a 1-year span. To celebrate, he gets a tattoo to immortalize this moment. Justin McSwain is now married and way more out and about. He does craftsman work for a living and gives motivational speeches about his journey. Compare that to before, where he was an utter husk with no direction in life. The difference is night and day. Dolly Martinez's food addiction began as a coping mechanism. Her dad left the family when she was 2, and in school she was placed in special ed classes. Her mother, Stacy, would later come out as lesbian, making Dolly a prime target for bullying. After ultimately dropping out of high school, she tried working at several jobs, but they did not last long. Her poor mobility and hygiene made her undesirable by employers. At age 21, Dolly reached her lowest point when both her grandfather and father passed away. She was now homeless and weighed over 400 pounds, but a glimmer of hope would soon come her way. On a dating site, she met a man named Ricky, who was going through very similar struggles. The two quickly married, moved in together, and had a daughter named Trinity. However, neither of them were equipped to raise a child, so the court gave custody to Stacy. Ricky also became very abusive. He'd always berate Dolly and push her to overeat. She'd eventually leave him and move back in with her mother, as well as a friend named Cheyenne. Cheyenne met Dolly online and has since become her full-time caretaker, right down to putting her glasses on every morning. Desperate for a solution, the family drives up to Houston to visit Dr. Now. Dolly constantly begs to stop and use the bathroom, which goes to show how immature she is. At the doctor's office, she's weighed to be 593 pounds, surpassing even her own expectations. Dr. Now proceeds to give her a harsh dose of reality, as well as a plan to make things better. Once home, Stacy throws out all the sugary treats in the house, much to the dismay of her daughter, yet the portion sizes are as big as ever, so nutrition clearly isn't the issue here. Dolly bemoans about how she should have been eased into the diet as opposed to going cold turkey. She doubts if she can sustain it in the long run. By the next appointment, she's down 17 pounds. Not very good. Dr. Now urges Dolly to try harder, but it falls on deaf ears. Her first meal after this is broccoli and cauliflower oozing with cheese, along with ham steaks and a soda. Stacy takes Dolly to the park for exercise, but she just sits down and feeds bread to the ducks, which you're not supposed to do. idiot. She wishes she could be one of them because they're free to do whatever they want, whereas Dolly is constantly being pressured by Stacy, who wants nothing more than for her daughter to live. Then in an unexpected twist of events, she returns to Ricky's house. She's choosing her abusive ex-husband over accountability. You cannot make this up. After only a few weeks though, things turn sour again. So Dolly runs off to a homeless shelter where she meets a man named Philip. The two instantly fall in love. In fact, they're already considering marriage after only knowing each other for a few weeks. Probably because A, he lets her run wild with junk food, and or B, he's deaf and on disability, meaning she can use him for money. By some miracle, she ends up losing 10 pounds during this time, but the combined 27 isn't even half of what Dr. Now wants. He is not pleased. Under Dr. Now's order, Dolly meets with a therapist to get some sense knocked into her. The counselor believes her biggest flaw is needlessly relying on other people, so he recommends Dolly be more independent. So Dolly learns how to do laundry with Cheyenne and moves into a horribly rundown apartment with Philip. However, they cannot afford rent, even though it's probably like $2 for this place. So the couple gets evicted after only 2 days. At her very last appointment, she's shown to have only lost 13 pounds, marking a total drop of 40. Most patients are expected to have lost 150 by this point. Thus, Dr. Now has given up on her. Time and time again, she was told that her attitude was a detriment to everyone. But instead of confronting her problems, she just ran away from them, which only served to create more problems. Had she actually listened to other people, this story would have gone way differently. Nicole Lewis grew up under a difficult environment. Her mother, Darlene, would lash out at her for seemingly no reason, so she ended up connecting better with her father, Jim. To calm her down after these incidents, he'd give her loads of snacks. But this of course led to immense weight gain. Jim figured she'd grow out of it and lose the weight as an adult, but this never happened. Things only got worse when both of her parents got addicted to cocaine. They turned uncontrollably violent, and Nicole had no escape other than food. Later, her father would get arrested for drug possession, leaving Darlene without the ability to pay rent. Nicole and her mother, now homeless, had to rely on soup kitchens, which primarily served high-fat foods like pasta. Fortunately, once Jim got out, the family had a roof over their head again, but their drug issues never went away. So the now adult Nicole moved out and got a job. It was here that her life substantially improved. She was outside, exercising, and meeting new people, including her first ever romantic partner. But with that boyfriend, she ended up with an unplanned pregnancy. He did not want to look after the child, so he left her without a moment's notice. Worse yet, Nicole's pregnancy came with blood clots, so she had to stay in bed throughout the entire thing. Now at rock bottom again, she searched online for people to talk to and ended up meeting a man named Charlie. She was rude to him at first, but he still supported her during a hard time, so he quickly became her new boyfriend and caretaker. Once their son Jaden was born, he had been fed so much junk food that he was diabetic and almost died due to a sudden drop in sugar. 2 years later, she had another child named Shelby, but Nicole had gained so much weight that she could barely take care of them. Her parents had to move back in and raise them, under the guise that they never touch a drug again. Right now, her day-to-day life is nothing short of miserable. For the 684-pound Nicole, getting out of bed is agonizing. She keeps snacks in her own room to avoid having to go to the kitchen, but even then she still needs help bringing them down. If she's ever told no, she throws a fit. The bathroom is unusable. She cannot fit through the door. So for showers, her boyfriend has to undress her and clean her with a hose outside. Not even the electric scooters at the store, which are specifically designed for people like her, can carry her. Jim and Darlene are not equipped to raise kids. They still have short tempers and let Jaden mess around in the bathroom unsupervised. Nicole's worried they'll get hooked on cocaine again, so she wants to move to Houston to see Dr. Now. Begrudgingly, everyone agrees to go with her. The drive from Ohio to Texas is stressful, so to calm her down, Charlie gets McDonald's and Subway for Nicole. They stay at a motel for the night, but when Nicole tries to get on the bed,
no.
This causes a massive fight.
Right. No, shut up, Mom.
You didn't want to pay the other price for the other room, so...
When they said it was upstairs. Idiot. No, every damn thing I say you contradict and talk, you little...
I say you try it again, Nikki.
Okay, let's just try it again! You bunch of bastards!
Literally all they have to do is remove the wheels. There was no reason for it to get this heated. Next morning, things do cool down. While looking out the window, Nicole realizes just how much of the outside world she's missed out on, but not before another lunch break. They finally reach Dr. Now's office on day 3, though getting her in there is easier said than done. When asked if she will make it to 30, Nicole doubts she'll make it to next year, so Dr. Now gives her a diet plan that'll make sure she does. But Nicole doesn't think she can follow through with it. Well, 1 month in, she shows marginal progress. She is going out and swimming in the pool. However, Charlie still hasn't found a job, neither do they have proper housing. Why didn't Nicole look at apartments before leaving? Is she stupid? Rather hilariously in hindsight, they complain about these apartment prices.
$750 for a 2-bedroom. $850 for a 3-bedroom. It's ridiculous.
You can't even get a studio for double that now. In the meantime, they've been checking in and out of hotels, which usually only have microwaves. So eating food that's good, healthy, and affordable is hard. At Nicole's next weigh-in, she's down 11 pounds, a far cry from what Dr. Now wanted. She blames her family for putting stress on her, but Dr. Now says she needs to stop with the excuses. Immediately after, Charlie brings greasy takeout food. They still haven't found a place nor a job, and the hotel bills are piling up. Nicole is being selfish again, which causes yet another argument with her boyfriend. Darlene, sick of all the drama, threatens to take the kids and move back to Ohio. But not even that prospect changes Nicole, who proceeds to order fast food while skipping her 3rd appointment. She thinks that cheating just a little bit won't hurt too much. Until she steps on the scale again and realizes she's only lost 7 pounds. Dr. Now has very little hope left. As a last resort, he sends her to a therapist, since she thinks nobody in her family understands her. If Nicole has this outlet to vent her feelings, it could very well mark a turning point. After meeting with the psychiatrist, Nicole's attitude is far more optimistic. It also helps that Charlie's found a job and they've finally settled into an apartment, which they've been subleasing for additional income. The household dynamic is way less toxic. It seems like everyone's on good terms with each other, and Nicole has been exercising consistently, losing 27 pounds by her next visit. While not quite the rate Dr. Now wants, it's still a remarkable improvement from before, and he knows this. He says if she can lose 33 pounds to catch up, he'll give her the green light for the surgery. But then a setback occurs. The tenant they've been housing was revealed to be a drug dealer. The police stormed the premises, searching every nook and cranny for narcotics, causing a huge mess and significant damage to the property. The family environment is getting hostile again. Nicole is overwhelmed and tempted to relapse into food, but she fights it off. Instead, as recommended by her therapist, she writes her thoughts down on a notepad, and after a quick pep talk with the family, everything is back to normal. Even with this brief obstacle, she managed to drop 30 pounds in a month, close enough to qualify for the surgery. But before that, she has to improve her mobility just a little bit more. This is due to her history of blood clots. If she gets the surgery now, it would kill her. In order to continue, she needs to be able to walk for 10 minutes without breaks. No biggie. Just 2 months later, she's already met that goal. The procedure goes well, and now she and her boyfriend can go on actual dates. At the dinner table, Charlie has a surprise for Nicole. It's a marriage proposal. With tears of joy in her eyes, Nicole says yes. The episode ends with the couple making plans to move back to Ohio. That way the kids don't have to deal with Nicole's parents. Mysteriously, her father has not shown up since before the surgery. Charlie says he was hospitalized for a leg injury, but Nicole thinks there's more to it. The story continues with her Where Are They Now episode, which starts with the couple getting ready to move back. They did in fact get evicted following the drug raid, so they have no other choice. Jim is back to say goodbye to her daughter before she leaves, now being able to drive herself. But it's a very long and stressful ride for someone who just regained that ability, so Nicole turns to Charlie for support. However, Charlie isn't always available. He has a condition that makes him fall asleep easily. This causes more arguments.
You will get my wheelchair now!
Do you understand I can't get out the car to do anything?
It seems she still needs to work on her attitude. That night, they check into a motel and have a cheap meal to de-stress. Nicole swears this is a one-time thing. The only time will tell if she keeps that promise. The next morning, they reach Ohio and later find their new home. All is well for the couple until Darlene comes over with unfortunate news. Over in Texas, Jim has gotten back into coke and landed himself back in prison for it. It has also been discovered that he has pancreatic cancer and doesn't have much time left. Nicole and Charlie travel back to Houston to see him one last time, as well as to check in with Dr. Now. Things are crazy at the moment, so they're putting the wedding on hold. On the bright side, Nicole can now get into an airplane seat. However, she's falling behind on her monthly goals, and again is blaming external factors. Dr. Now suggests she go back to therapy to effectively deal with her problems, while Jim congratulates Nicole and encourages her to keep going. After another meeting with a counselor, she's back on track. By the end of the episode, she's qualified for skin removal surgery and ready for a brand new life. Nicole Lewis's story was a roller coaster to say the least. At the beginning, she was toxic and barely committed to the program, but all it took was some PhD advice to get her on the right path, until more conflicts arose that could have easily brought her back to square one, but they didn't. In the end, it all worked out. Sean Miliken is speculated to have grown up on the autism spectrum. He recalls lashing out at people frequently, sometimes kicking and biting them. His father would escalate these meltdowns further by cornering and yelling at him, whereas his father had anger issues. His mother Renee had eating issues, both of which were passed down to Sean. He ate like there was no tomorrow, and Renee completely enabled it. Every time she went to the store, he would always get a treat. No ifs, ands, or buts. Sean's parents divorced when he was 10, and he felt like the one responsible for it. To cope with the shame, he ate even more. Whenever he got home from school, Renee would still be at work, so he'd raid the fridge and devour whatever he found. In his senior year of high school, he fell down the stairs and injured his leg. From that point forward, he never left bed, meaning he did not graduate. Now at age 26, Sean's day consists of eating, knitting, and playing video games, all in his own room. Renee does everything for him, never hesitating to give in to his demands. A prime example of this is here. After eating a whole pepperoni pizza by himself, Sean asks for a couple slices of his mother's pizza. Right then and there, she gives him the entire thing. He has sores under his belly that need cleaning, but he's gotten so big that Renee alone can no longer do it, so her friend Kate has to come over and help. Sean is sick of it all. He wants to live a normal life, so with the help of Renee's church friends, they begin their move to Houston. Getting him into the van is very convoluted. He has to get up from the bed with a walker, sit down in his wheelchair, get pushed to the front door, have the walker brought over to here, get out of the wheelchair, step out the door with the walker, get back in the wheelchair, get pushed to the van, and climb into it with some extra support. Now he's set for the 30-hour trip, and I mean the entire trip. He can't get up to use the bathroom, so Renee has to park and clean it up. This video might genuinely be grosser than the Predator videos. After which, she brings him a drumstick to calm him down. They reach Houston, where Dr. Now is waiting like it's the finish line. But Sean is more focused on his Nintendo DS. He has good taste, I'll give him that. While being brought inside, he breaks down crying, so Dr. Now talks to them in the waiting room. When asked if she's ever put him on a diet, Renee says the only one she's ever tried was 2,500 calories a day. That's an average person's regular intake. But for Sean, it might as well be a fast, cause usually he eats 10 times that. With brutal honesty, Dr. Now tells Renee she's killing her son. He leaves for a bit, and while waiting, Sean has another accident. This time it's in public, my god. Renee cleans it up, and they head over to the scale. But Sean is so heavy that he goes over the limit, so they have to weigh him on the bed, which reads 919 pounds. He's by far the heaviest person ever featured. More than any other patient, he needs to follow Dr. Now's plan. But whether or not he will is up to Renee. Renee decides that 800 calories a day is too extreme, so she tries to compromise by only getting him one fast food meal a day. That is still one too many, because at the next appointment, Sean says he feels worse than before. Dr. Now again speaks to him in the waiting room, but this time it's cause he can't fit through the hallway. He has gained weight and is now over 1,000 pounds. That makes him one of only 23 people in all of history to ever reach 4 digits. Dr. Now is horrified. Sean is admitted to the hospital under a controlled diet. In just 2 months, things change drastically. He can now use the regular scale and has lost over 250 pounds. Knowing that he's capable of giving up junk food, Dr. Now discharges Sean. For additional help, he's scheduled to meet with a physical therapist and nutritionist. Surprisingly, Renee is creating an exercise schedule despite Sean's protests. Is she actually growing a backbone? Well, when the nutritionist comes over, she admits that instead of an 800 calorie diet, he's been closer to 1,500. Also, he may or may not have had a slice of pizza and a donut this month, so not quite. Under the nutritionist's request, Renee throws out all the unhealthy foods in the kitchen. 1 month later, Sean starts feeling like he's gonna have a heart attack. He is promptly rushed to the hospital, only for them to find out there's nothing going on. Dr. Now believes he faked this to avoid responsibility. It also turns out he's gained 43 pounds, which greatly upsets Dr. Now, so he gets a psychiatrist for both of them to fix their issues. And believe it or not, they actually listen to him. 2 months after this meeting, Sean has lost enough weight for the surgery. Once he's home, he and Renee make a bulletin board for future milestones. The episode ends with him weighing just 548 pounds and continuing to practice his mobility. It seemed like things would only go up from here. Will that continue in his Where Are They Now segments? Let's find out. But first, YouTube introduced this hype thing as a way to boost smaller creators. Do me a favor and hit that button. Let's see how far this video goes. Renee gets worried about Sean potentially pushing himself too hard, since his leg has started hurting. Then all of a sudden, Sean gets really sick. His body temperature is fluctuating and he feels severe pain. Renee calls 911 to take him to the hospital, where like last time, there's nothing going on. Dr. Now starts to realize just how bad of an influence Renee is. She acts like she knows better than the doctor with decades of experience, but shocker, she doesn't. Sean has gained 7 pounds. Dr. Now separates Sean and Renee for a month and puts him back on a controlled diet. It's hard for him since he's not used to being without his mother for such a long period, but he does obey the diet and lose 60 pounds. However, he's still too big for one regular scale, so to track his weight at home, Renee buys 2 to weigh both sides of him. Does this yield accurate results? Probably not, cause he gains 51 pounds. Renee goes back to the therapist to ask him why Sean's not making progress. He should just pull out a big mirror. But he doesn't do that. He visits Sean at home to try and motivate him a bit more. They agree to push Sean to be more independent, teaching him essential responsibilities. This could not have come at a better time, because a couple months later, Renee would be hospitalized for stomach swelling, leaving Sean by himself. He still can't leave the house yet, so one of Dr. Now's assistants is helping him with groceries and such. Although times are tough, he's trying his best to stick to his goals. But Renee's condition continues to worsen, and eventually she'd pass away due to kidney failure. Sean's full-time caretaker of 27 years is now gone. His father is too busy to take the job, so Sean has no choice but to live on his own. It's not easy for him at the moment, and because of that, he's gained 30 pounds. Without a job, Sean cannot afford his current apartment, or really anything for that matter, so his plan is to move into a cheaper studio apartment, use his savings on however many months of rent he can afford, lose the weight in that time, then have Dr. Now house him in a care facility. His current place is so messy that even with the help of his father, neighbor, and a moving company, it takes days to pack everything. Once he's finally in his new apartment, his boxes have sat there unopened for a whole month. Sean has so much stuff that he doesn't know where to put it all. He's still got a lot to learn, especially since he's been eating nothing but turkey sandwiches. Through them, he gained 75 pounds and develops gallstones. Sean has surgery to get rid of the gallstones, but while he recovers, another tragedy takes place. Hurricane Harvey has hit the state of Texas, and in its path was his apartment. The flood damages most of his belongings beyond repair, including items that remind him of his mother. But luckily, the community is willing to help. His apartment cancels rent for a few months and temporarily moves him to a safe unit. Volunteers from a church help him recover anything salvageable, and a local mattress store donates furniture. These kind acts give Sean a bit of hope, and once he gets his stuff back, he actually arranges it properly. But as for food, he's exclusively been getting pizza delivered, which is both very costly and very unhealthy. Sean's also developed rashes due to not bathing, so his PCA comes over to take care of them. Over the next 2 months, they get worse, so Dr. Now asks to take a look at them. The rashes are infected, and to top it off, he's gained weight. He stays in the hospital under another controlled diet, and by the time he's healed, he's down 147 pounds. But once out, he falls behind yet again. Ever since Renee died, Sean's just never been able to get over his dejection. He has so little confidence that he did well that he skips an appointment. He's hospitalized again after a fall, where it's discovered that his previous infection has come back. In a last-ditch effort to save his life, Dr. Now sends Sean to physical therapy. Not only is he on a controlled diet, but he'll be getting some activity and meeting with his psychologist. This marginally improves his chances of survival. By the end of the stay, he's even able to shower on his own. To make 100% sure he doesn't undo it again, Dr. Now sends Sean's care assistant, dietitian, and psychologist to meet with him regularly. But even with all of that, he still can't resist his cravings. So he's admitted back into physical therapy, this time for a more indefinite period. Ultimately, Sean concedes that he cannot do this himself and prepares for the worst. Then the episode ends with Dr. Now finding out that Sean Miliken has passed away. TLC made a statement expressing their grief, and viewers of the show gave condolences. It's clear throughout the episode that Sean was still mentally a child. He should not have been left out on his own to deal with adult responsibilities. A group home would have been much more appropriate. That way, he'd probably have gotten a much better caretaker. Amber Rachdi struggled with her weight as far back as she can remember. It's likely that her parents, Abe and Patty, didn't regulate her eating habits much. In the episode, we see that they let their dog roam around the neighborhood, which does raise questions about the family's responsibility. Amber's self-esteem was non-existent. At age 16, the doctor weighed her on a scale meant for people in wheelchairs. She, not being bound to one, could see that things were getting grim. In college, her motivation continued to decline. She did not want to study, work, or socialize at all. Soon, she'd drop out, giving her nothing to do but stay home all day. Now at 23, Amber lives with her parents, brother, and boyfriend. Merely standing up for long periods of time is a struggle for her. The stairs especially are a nightmare. Oftentimes, she'll wash herself with a brush instead of going up to use the bath. The only time Amber ever leaves the house is to buy snacks, and that's if she can get into the car. She hasn't gone on a date with her partner, Rachdi, at all, and it's putting pressure on their relationship. Left with no other choice, the Rachdi family books a flight to Houston to get some help. Amber needs 2 tickets because she can't fit in just one seat. At the airport, her wheelchair breaks, so they have to use a luggage cart to transport her. This gets them plenty of weird looks, further exacerbating Amber's stress. It's her first time flying in years, and although she's way out of her comfort zone, she knows it'll be worth it. They land in Texas and arrive at the clinic, where Amber finds out she weighs 657 pounds. Doctor now discovers she has lipolymphedema, a condition where the legs swell up and feel pain. He says the only cure for this is weight loss, something that can easily be accomplished if she follows his plan. Back in Oregon, the family starts relocating to Houston. This time they're traveling by van, although Amber gets carsick easily, and at one point they have to stop to get her a barf bag. It's difficult for Amber to adjust to this new place, especially since she can't turn to food for solace. The temptations surely are there, such as when Rachdi gets fast food for himself, but she's able to overcome them. Also, she started going on frequent walks. At her follow-up appointment, she weighs 17 pounds less. Upon seeing this and the drastic increase in activity, Dr. Now approves her for the surgery. Once the procedure is done, Amber actually feels happy for once. Just a few months ago, she was incapable of ever cracking a smile. But a new stressor comes up when her parents announce they're moving back to Oregon. This'll be Amber's first time ever living independently, and the thought of that is a little nerve-wracking. A couple days after returning home, Amber was rushed back to the hospital. She had severe chest pain and her heart wasn't beating normally. Her body is fragile at her size, and if even the slightest thing goes wrong, it could be the end for her. Thankfully, it turns out to just be a panic attack, so now she's seeing a therapist to help deal with her anxiety. From then on, Amber only continued to make strides. She's learned to drive again, and is able to buy clothes that were once too small for her. By the end of the episode, she's at 280 pounds, literally half the woman she used to be. It concludes with her and Rachdi going on their first ever date at the zoo. While the two would break up sometime later, that hasn't undone Amber's legacy as one of the show's greatest successes. James King grew up rarely seeing his mother. She was a heavy drinker, so his father, Don Sr., left her early on. Despite this, his life starting out seemed pretty normal. He got along with his older brother, and his weight wasn't too out of control. Then Don married a new woman named Lolita, who had 4 kids of her own. The now 7-person household struggled to make ends meet, but no one felt more uncertain than James. He developed a FOMO mindset around food. If it was available, he had to have it. His weight skyrocketed as a result of this. At 15, he reconnected with his mother, but not long after, she died of liver cancer. As if that wasn't enough, during her funeral proceedings, the family's house burned down. Both of these events broke James and spiraled his eating habits even further. 5 years later, he would meet Lisa, a mother of 4 with an abusive husband. She'd start cheating on him in favor of James, having 2 more children named Austin and Bailey. James wasn't involved much with his kids, since Lisa still had yet to divorce. Occasionally he'd go on fishing trips and buggy rides, but this didn't offset his continual weight gain. Even after Lisa finally left her husband, giving him more of a reason to improve himself, he failed to do so. When James was 42, he fell and injured his ankle. By then he was so big that the fire department had to carry him to his bed. That was where he'd remain from this point forward, relying on his family for everything. Even his daughter had to be pulled out of school to help him. His legs are horrendously infected, so I went through and blurred them for your viewing pleasure. It should go without saying that James is an utter monstrosity. There's only one person who even has a chance at saving him. Good old Dr. Now, whom he calls over Skype. Wow, is this episode old? They'll have to move to Houston for the program, but nobody in the house is working, so a trip all the way from Kentucky just isn't affordable. Their health insurance won't get them an ambulance, not even with a doctor's note saying that James's life is on the line. They try a GoFundMe with a $20K goal, but weeks go by without a single donation, so they get the local news to report on it, netting them a total of $300. Still nowhere near enough. James is ready to give up entirely, until his dad gets sick while visiting. Upon realizing that he can't see him in the hospital, he decides to give it another shot. His new solution is to have the fire department bring him to Lisa's van, but they measure him and see that he's too big to fit. The next idea is to rent a moving van, but it's not safe for them to secure a person in the cargo area. Ultimately, his father takes the fall and remortgages his house to pay for an ambulance. Of which is a nightmare to get him into. Though all of this could be worth it if James King gets a second chance at life. Keyword could. He whines and cries throughout the entire trip. Whenever the vehicle hits the slightest bump, it startles him. Really goes to show how sheltered he's been. They reach the clinic, and after another tumultuous carryout, he finally meets Dr. Now in person. Dr. Now's upset to see that James isn't trying at all, and scolds Lisa for enabling him. Much like Sean, James has to be weighed on the bed, which reads 735 pounds. They do some tests, and as expected, his body is barely functioning. So Dr. Now has to put him on a controlled diet for the next month. By the end of it, he's down 80 pounds. He adjusted to the change no problem, so all he has to do is follow it at home and he's set. While James was gone, Lisa found an apartment, and now he gets to see it for the first time. Too bad transporting him is still a hassle. We see James lifting small weights and eating a vegetable dinner. That does look like an improvement, right? Well, a couple days later, he feels a sharp pain in his chest and gets sent to the hospital. There, he admits he had numerous cheat meals. None of them were shown on camera. He's experiencing congestive heart failure, but luckily the doctors stabilized it in time. Surely an experience like this would be a wake-up call. It's now month 6. Lisa's car broke down on the freeway, and it'll be weeks before it's fixed. She can't drive to the store, so they've had to get food delivered to them. The stress of this and his recent health scare is making James want comfort meals. Tonight, all Lisa has is fish and chicken, but James has had it for several nights in a row and is sick of it. He wants Chinese food, which he's not supposed to have.
But rice is on that paper that we're not supposed to have.
It's fried.
It's still rice.
I'm tired of fish and chicken, Lisa. I'm sick of it.
I'll get my phone and see if we can get it delivered.
My God, she just caves in like that, and he doesn't even say thanks. Then he gets dessert! Ugh! The following month, they're supposed to meet with Dr. Now again, but he decides not to go due to stress. Though he is excited to see him again because...
But I'm excited to show him my progress and get approved for weight loss surgery.
He's that delusional. Lisa yaps about how she's at her wit's end or something like that, but still believes she has to take care of her boyfriend. No, you fucking don't. You're bringing this on yourself. Either leave him or stop killing him! Upon noticing James's absence, Dr. Now drives up to see him at his apartment. Even in the car, he still dons his outfit, which I found pretty funny. James asserts he's lost weight, but Dr. Now isn't so sure. They bring him back to the hospital where he is quickly proven wrong. I cannot even wrap my head around this. Since his last weigh-in, he has gained 150 pounds. That's like a regular person's entire weight. Needless to say, Dr. Now is utterly appalled.
Seriously, you're eating yourself to death and you don't want to quit that. And that's your responsibility. Nobody else is in here. You got yourself in this bed.
Though he's still not ready to give up on him just yet. After another month on a restricted diet, he's sent back home for one last chance. If he doesn't lose 100 pounds by the next visit, he is out of the program. And he fumbles it. James refuses to go back to Kentucky, adamant that this time he'll make a comeback, surely. The episode ends pretty unremarkably. A physical therapist comes over to get him to sit up. On to the Where Are They Now episode. It starts off with a tiny bit of progress. He started exercising again, and Lisa claims to not be enabling him. Dr. Now is called back in, and he actually wasn't lied to for once. Also, the transport into the ambulance goes way smoother. Once he's weighed, it's shown that he only lost 18 pounds. But the fact that he lost weight at all is honestly a miracle. He stays another month at the hospital on their controlled diet. He's done it 3 times now, so why is it so hard for him to do it at home? Back at the apartment, James starts feeling pain in his legs. He's rushed back to the hospital where it's found out that, yep, he's back to gaining weight. Lisa is still overfeeding him, even after they've been told numerous times it's gonna kill him. Never has Dr. Now been this angry. Rightfully so.
I'm sick and tired of wasting my time coming here, bringing all the people working for you, and you do nothing.
The infection in his leg is contained for the time being, but oh my god, Lisa is sneaking food in. What the fuck? She has to be killing him on purpose. There's no other explanation. Once he's discharged, Dr. Now calls social services to investigate Lisa. However, they rule that if James is asking for the food, they can't do anything. Alas, she's still free to feed her boyfriend to death. Already, they're back with another leg infection. Dr. Now's last idea is to separate the two for 5 days, but James refuses. He swears up and down that the food isn't causing the weight gain, whereas Lisa claims his body is physically incapable of burning calories. Dr. Now has had enough. James King is removed from the program once again and discharged from the hospital for the very last time. 2 months after this episode aired, James King died at the age of 49. I can't exactly say I'm mourning this loss. He had every chance in the world to fix his problems. Hell, his ill father went into debt for him to get the opportunity, and it was all for nothing. Though Lisa is just as guilty, and should have definitely been punished for her horrendous negligence. Zsalynn Whitworth grew up with a very strict mother. She did not want her daughter to get chubby, to the point of not letting her lick envelopes because she thought they had calories. As it would turn out, this authoritarian approach had the complete opposite effect. Zsalynn ate all the sugary snacks in the world whenever her mother wasn't home. By senior year of high school, she ballooned up to 375 pounds. Zsalynn embraced her physique and became a volunteer for NAFA, or the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance. She recalls this as the absolute peak of her life. The organization traveled all across the world, staying in 5-star hotels and skinny dipping in the ocean. It was also where she met one of her closest friends, Bonnie. Zsalynn would post about her experiences online, where a man named Gareth fell in love with her. The two later got married and had a daughter named Hannah. But as Zsalynn gained weight, her happiness deteriorated. She became a shell of her former self, going out less and less by the day. Having pride in such an unhealthy lifestyle would eventually catch up to her. Fast forward to the present. Zsalynn is 42, almost 600 pounds, and spends most of her days either staring at the computer or sitting on the couch watching TV. In the car, her weight blocks part of the stick shift, hindering her ability to drive. Bonnie, meanwhile, has lost all of the weight and is basically Hannah's mother. They get to do all kinds of things that Zsalynn just can't participate in. It's only a matter of time before the young girl wakes up to find out her mother's dead. Luckily, they live in San Antonio, just a few hours away from Dr. Now, though her expectations are a bit unrealistic. unrealistic. She thinks the program will make her never want to have sugar ever again. Dr. Now lets her know that it's all about self-control and that she'll have to lose weight herself in order to qualify. The next day, she's watching Hannah and her friend play at the park from behind the fence. She knows that she's been robbing her daughter of a childhood and is determined to make things right. She proceeds to follow through on that and lose 28 pounds by her next appointment. Close enough for Dr. Now to approve her. Gareth isn't exactly thrilled since he's attracted to fat women, but Zsalynn knows her own livelihood comes first. Following the surgery, Zsalynn is put on a 1200 calorie a day diet. While it didn't instantly get rid of her cravings, she is able to resist them. Gareth tries everything to tempt her, offering to take her to the taco stand, then going through the Burger King drive-thru and ordering her favorite foods, but she refuses. Occasionally she'll break down and cry about sugar withdrawals, only to immediately get over it. At the next weigh-in, she's down to 443, a good but not ideal rate, so Zsalynn consults a personal trainer to shed pounds faster, much to the dismay of her husband. Cracks are starting to show in the family dynamic. Not even Hannah is siding with Gareth. Zsalynn bites the bullet and indulges herself with a Diet Dr. Pepper, only taking light sips, though she likely ate more than what was shown on camera, cause at her next appointment, her weight is exactly the same as before. Dr. Now reminds her that carbonated beverages after surgery is not a good idea, and recommends she quit, which she does. Now Zsalynn can play with Hannah on the playground, and even plans to run a 5K with her, but she has to cancel after injuring her ankle, opting to stay home for a healthy dinner instead. Gareth is also still being a prick to her. Although the episode ends on a positive note, there's still one loose end. The tensions between the couple would continue until one fateful Where Are They Now episode, where Zsalynn finally cuts all ties with her gooner husband. Despite Gareth's best efforts, he could not tear her down. Zsalynn came out on top in the end and has continued to live her best life raising Hannah. Angela Gutierrez has been obese for almost her entire life. Growing up, her family often had pizza, burgers, and other unhealthy meals for dinner. Barbara, Angela's mother, felt embarrassed by her daughter's weight. As such, the two didn't connect all too well. Right out of high school, Angela moved into her own place and got a car, giving her total freedom over her diet. At age 20, she met her first husband, Jose, and together they had a daughter named Andrea. However, Barbara disapproved of Jose because he was Mexican, further complicating her daughter's feelings of both parties. Over time, the marriage steadily lost momentum, and once Angela had an affair, they were done. Now a single mother, Angela began working as a bartender, where she'd meet a man named Daryl. He'd become her second boyfriend, and together they'd have a son named Christopher, though Angela quickly discovered that he was quite abusive. By the time she was 28, her weight had surpassed the 400-pound mark. Something had to be done about it, so she went in for weight loss surgery and came out 150 pounds lighter. But as soon as she got home, Daryl broke up with her. Regardless, life was great for Angela. Every night she went out partying while a babysitter watched the kids. Through these hangouts, she'd meet her third boyfriend, Eric, though they didn't date for very long. Angela was drinking non-stop. She'd always wake up hungover, and her weight was steadily climbing back up. Then one weekend, a babysitter snitched and called the police, leading to Angela being charged with child endangerment. Barbara did not side with her and promptly gained custody of Andrea, while Christopher was given back to Daryl. Angela was at an all-time low. She felt like she had no will to live. Following an attempt at something drastic, she was sent to a psych ward for a whole month. Afterwards, she checked into rehab for 3 months, then moved in with her mother and daughter. But by this point, Andrea considered Barbara her mother, which made Angela very depressed. Almost immediately, she was back to binge eating and drinking. Later on, Daryl passed away, so she got Chris back and moved out with him. Then her cousin would start making some poor decisions, so that cousin's daughter Lacey was put in the care of Angela. That brings us to now. There's not a single day in Angela's life where she doesn't feel pain. She can barely walk thanks to the lymphedema in her legs, and has to shower while seated. Even with these washes though, her hygiene is still terrible. All the clothes she wears are 9XL, which I didn't even think was possible. Very few pairs of pants, shoes, or pieces of underwear will fit her. Also, she cannot drive. Lacey's mother has to come over and take her to school every morning, while Christopher will drive her to the store every now and then. Most of the time her groceries are delivered. She's everything people are scared of becoming. As such, she's looking to meet with Dr. Now. Unfortunately, nobody in her family will take her. Barbara is too busy. Her aunt and uncle never responded, and Andrea doesn't think her mother can handle such a long ride. As one final Hail Mary, she calls Eric, her ex-boyfriend, to see if he's willing to go. The two speak for the first time in a decade, and he agrees. She ends up really enjoying Eric's company, more than that of her mother or father. The first night he brings some greasy burgers and fries for dinner, but then in the morning, Angela wakes up feeling worse than usual, and proceeds to blame everything but the food.
I just don't know, or honestly the bed could have been the way I slept. I didn't even get a good hot shower this morning.
That night, they arrive in Texas and check into another hotel. But uh-oh, their bathroom isn't handicapped, even though it said so on the reservation.
A lot of people think that's minor. It's not. When you're driving this in the van with blankets tucked up under your folds and your mess.
Then take the damn blankets off. Luckily, they let them change rooms for free. But Angela's too tired to walk over there herself, so she grabs a swivel chair and uses it as a walker. Neither she nor Eric return it to the old room. Angela says she's scared that Dr. Now won't help her unless she loses weight. Who's gonna tell her? It's now morning and today's their appointment. But before that, they stop by Whataburger.
You know, you are a lot older than when we dated, so you really are, like, risk a heart attack now.
You're not one to talk. They get to the clinic where Angela is weighed to be 608 pounds. Given that she's had a surgery before only to gain it all back, Dr. Now is especially skeptical here. He explains that he can't just snap his fingers and make the weight go away. She has to make an effort herself. What do you know? Her worst fear came true. The topic of moving to Houston comes up, and Angela insists she's ready to do so. Then once out of the appointment, she says she doesn't feel like moving so far away. Which is it? Back in Ohio, Angela ends up liking the new diet. There's way more zero-calorie food items than she thought, although Lacey has doubts.
Think I'll be able to do it?
Want to be honest? No.
Now, tell me why. What do you think my biggest setback would be?
Candy.
Could this be a sign? Well, after this exchange, Angela talks about how Lacey needs a mother figure in her life, and it's not worth giving up that for a doctor to show her numbers. What? Earlier she said she was happy to have Dr. Now.
Everything he said is what I needed to hear, plus a little more, and I was really grateful.
Turns out that was a lie, cause next month she misses her follow-up appointment. She's just not ready for Houston yet. Eric wants Angela to move, but apparently her family doesn't. They argue that she's perfectly capable of losing weight here in Ohio. The least she could do is buy a scale and prove it. God, no wonder Ohio's the brain rot state. These people are nonsensical. The following month, she speaks to Dr. Now over Zoom. Her new excuse is that she can't find a good apartment. Believe her, she spent hours looking.
Not that I know what my weight is, but I can now fit in my van. I now go walk.
No footage of that was ever shown, by the way. Just gonna have to take her word for it. Dr. Now schedules a new in-person appointment for the next month. This time, Angela promises, got the hand on the Bible, that she'll travel to Houston for it. She doesn't travel to Houston for it. Okay, to be fair, it's cause she's sick. So sick that she has to go to the ER. Talk about a mythical disease pull. Now she has an actual reason to not go. She makes a speedy recovery and is back home in no time. Dr. Now calls her several times without answer, until finally she gives in and chats, with much of the same bullshit. Then, after 8 months in the program, or lack thereof, Angela finally decides to call it quits. months. Why didn't she do it sooner? Scratch that, why did she do it in the first place? If she really didn't want to move to Houston, she could have probably found someone much closer. My guess is that she did it just to get on TV. At the end of the episode, she takes Lacey to get ice cream and doesn't even go in with her, just lets her run in unsupervised. By Angela's own admission, she chose Lacey over her own health, but that would soon translate to choosing neither. 4 years after the making of this episode, Angela Gutierrez passed away. The family she claimed was more important now felt immense grief. It could have only been a temporary departure, but instead it ended up being a permanent one. Pauline Potter's weight struggles began around age 6. That was when her parents divorced, and because there was no welfare at the time, her now single mother could barely feed the kids. Eventually, Pauline's parents would get back together, giving them financial stability. But now that they had food, Pauline used this opportunity to eat like her life depended on it. I'm running out of ways to say they ate a lot, okay? She reached 300 pounds at age 17, 400 at 29, and 500 at 31. At one point, she even held the record for the world's heaviest woman. Her son Dylan is her full-time caretaker. His young adult years have been almost entirely devoted to her, and it's taking a toll. Sometimes her niece Megan comes over to help, but the antisocial Dylan rarely interacts. It's a hassle getting Pauline into Dylan's car, so if she wants to go to the store, she'll follow it in her wheelchair. Obviously, that's not going to be viable for a Sacramento to Houston drive. Alas, they have to do it the hard way. Pauline says she has to have fast food. She can't get in and out of the van for a dine-in restaurant. Healthy drive-thrus do exist, but I digress. They settle into their new apartment, which has a medical bed for Pauline, and prepare for tomorrow's meeting with Dr. Now. The next day, Pauline is weighed to be 673 pounds. She confesses to abusing her power over Dylan. What a likable and caring mother. Obviously, Dr. Now is not in favor of this.
I was so scared he was gonna send me away, but he didn't.
What do you mean by that? Did you think he was gonna send you to like a concentration camp? Pauline walks out confident that she's gonna lose the weight. Actions speak louder than words, cause 1 month later, she's still lounging all day doing nothing. Fast food is still her primary diet, and they're no longer driving, so she has no excuse now. If Dylan says no, she gets upset. At the next appointment, she pretends to feel nauseous walking in. Nausea? Oh my god, I am so sorry, Pauline. I changed my mind. You are skinny now. Have a milkshake. When she finally gets on the scale, it's 4 pounds higher than before. Her new excuse is, are you ready?
I haven't done a lot of activity in the last week because my stomach hurts.
And when that doesn't work...
Well, I do have a problem with water retention. It may not have been water weight.
The oldest trick in the book. Pauline is not taking this seriously, so Dr. Now puts her on a controlled diet for 2 weeks. She insists that she could do this without help. If she could, then she wouldn't be there. By the end of the diet, she's down 44 pounds and is eligible for surgery. All goes well with the procedure. However, Pauline hasn't gotten out of bed for 5 whole days. It has never taken more than 48 hours for a patient to get up and running. She has to soon, otherwise she'll get a blood clot and die. Pauline tries to justify it by saying she has a pulled stomach muscle. I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure death is more severe than a pulled stomach muscle. Apparently, she's also able to cry on command, which explains her ability to control Dylan. It doesn't faze Dr. Now though, he's seen it all. Begrudgingly, she gets up and walks. Once. The clock is ticking, lady. Dr. Now orders an emergency air filter surgery, where they put a device in her that stops all the blood clots. She is lucky they did this before it was too late. After all that is said and done, Pauline still refuses to get up. It's a shame, because when she gets on the scale, she's down 136 pounds. That's no small feat, even if not a single nanogram was her own doing. Pauline is then discharged from the hospital and given a physical therapist. In the 2 months following, she misses every appointment and only does the activities she wants. Her logic is that going to the pool is safer than physical therapy because she can't fall. Alright? Shocker, she doesn't know what's best for her body and only loses 6 pounds. Again, Dr. Now reprimands her for how little she cares. He decides to have the physical therapist come to her if she won't come to the physical therapist. The next month, Pauline is eating healthy and exercising a lot more. I'm just kidding, she's not changed at all. In fact, she goes to her next appointment in her wheelchair. She's just taking the piss now. When asked about the physical therapist, she claims she never got any calls. Dr. Now rings up the therapist for his side of the story and is told that not only did Pauline get the calls, but she answered them every time saying she didn't need help. Good lord. The episode ends with her still not going to physical therapy and still not walking. Later on, she did manage to get over her food addiction, only for an even worse addiction to develop. Painkillers. One day, she took too much and almost died of an overdose. This event made her do a complete 180. I'm not kidding this time. It took 2 near-death experiences, a Guinness World Record, a son giving up years of his life, and being publicly broadcast on television to finally turn her life around. Better late than never, I guess. Originally, James King was supposed to be the grand finale. Then I watched this episode. My God. Not even history's greatest literary geniuses could write a story like that of... Lacey Buckingham was never meant to be born at all. She was a result of her mother Eve's birth control failing. Because of this, Lacey was the least loved of the 3 kids, and that greatly damaged her morale. She ate a lot to cope with it, reaching 120 pounds at just 6 years old. Anytime her parents tried to limit it, it would only cause more problems. Lacey's weight brought a lot of school bullying, as well as difficulties making friends, but she did meet one that would end in horror. In 3rd grade, while at that friend's house, his brother took Lacey into the basement and did something unspeakable to her. For the longest time, she was too scared to tell anyone, allowing the perpetrator to get away with it. This trauma would only intensify her eating habits. By the next year, she was over 200 pounds. In college, Lacey went to the doctor with Eve for some menstrual issues. There, she opened up about her awful experience for the first time. Her own mother did not believe it, causing a permanent rift in their relationship. Lacey subsequently moved out and started dorming at her school. Now that she had a place to herself, she could go all in on junk food. Once out of college, Lacey got a job in customer service, but quit early on. She grew anxious about being judged for her now 500-pound body. From then on, her days would be spent almost entirely indoors. Then she discovered feederism. Feederism is an online community where fat women get paid to eat on camera. It's through this that she started making passive income, and later developed relationships with 3 different men. However, none of them translated to genuine romantic interest. Since then, she's left that circle and found a new boyfriend named Ricky. Imagine if it was the same Ricky that dated Dolly. That would be unreal. Ricky met Lacey on a dating app just a month ago, and already the 2 are in love. Debatably, he's epileptic and possibly autistic, which Lacey uses to her advantage. He's her full-time caretaker, but despite the lengths he's willing to go, she still thinks food is her greatest love in life. Showers are basically the only thing Lacey does herself, and that's only once or twice a week. Every little movement is painful for her, but she'll push through it all if it means going grocery shopping. Neither she nor Ricky can drive, so Ricky's sister Sharon has to come and take them. This woman is a bit on the crazy side, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. When Lacey is surrounded by colorful snacks, everything goes away. These very treats have given her diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol, but those warning signs have not stopped her. In fact, they make sure to pack as many as possible for the trip. As is tradition, Sharon is driving them. Lacey schedules the appointment 2 days from now, now, since it's supposed to take a little over 31 hours. If we assume sleep takes 8 hours, that gives them only 30 minutes of wiggle room. What about stopping for gas? What about traffic? What if the car breaks down? Suffice to say, she did not think this through, especially since right out of the gate, she's wasting time. Lacey wants to stop by a drive-thru, never mind all the food she brought, more specifically a KFC and A&W hybrid, making her the first person in all of history to ever want A&W. There, she orders 8 extra crispy drumsticks, a large corn dog, large cheese curds, a Papa Burger with extra bacon, mashed potatoes with gravy, and a root beer. For God's sake, at least get a diet soda. Then, come day 2, her breakfast is zebra cakes, cheese puffs, and coffee. Upon hearing of this, Sharon flips her shit.
You need to work on losing weight, and you gotta motivate yourself.
She can see the writing on the wall. Lacey does not want to try. Day 3. They were supposed to meet with Dr. Now today, but they're not even halfway there.
We are so far behind.
She's gonna have to reschedule. Later that day, Sharon lays into the couple about their relationship.
How the do you guys know that you love each other and you only been dating for not even a full month?
I like that he's so outgoing. He's good with kids.
Yeah, my brother's a good man. And you all telling each other y'all love each other?
We do.
And you're my little brother, who is ignorant.
Very sweet.
And very gullible to a lot of. So when I see something, I'm gonna speak on it, and you already know how I am.
Okay, this is easily the funniest side character of the whole series. She has 0 filters. Suddenly, Lacey has to go to the bathroom. Badly. So Sharon frantically parks at a Dairy Queen. The fact that I recognize these places makes me feel like I need an episode. But it's too late. She's already gone in her pants. They already had a potty in the form of Sharon's mouth, but I digress.
Bro.
It's rubbing onto Ricky, too.
Your body saying, hey, give me something healthy.
After what might just be the longest ride out of everyone on the show, they're finally at Dr. Now's office. Sharon doesn't come in with them, unfortunately. We should have gotten a spin-off about her overcoming smoking. Lacey is weighed to be 593 pounds. While a bit less than what she anticipated, that's still crazy high. Dr. Now is amazed by how far they drove, but disappointed with their current lifestyle. Blah blah blah, he gives them the diet, she has to follow it, you get the picture. This trip was meant to be a temporary stay, but they're still gonna have to move to Houston, so Sharon has to drive them all the way back home to Washington, then later, drive them back to Houston with their stuff. Lacey and Ricky could have easily moved in with just one trip, but no. Now I see why Sharon is becoming the Joker. Oh, and Lacey doesn't exactly stick to the diet. She still has carbs here and there, excusing it by saying she's going little by little. In terms of exercise, she is going on walks and practicing air squats with Ricky. That's something, I guess. Ricky has also proposed to her, and she said yes. The poor guy is more than likely being manipulated, but everybody in both their families supports the marriage. Apart from Sharon, of course. But whoops, Lacey has missed her online follow-up appointment. Dr. Now had to set up a new one the next month. He's not too ecstatic about Lacey's lack of progress. Right after the meeting, she cooks herself a Hot Pocket. It's now month 5. The couple is almost ready to move to Houston. All they have to do is find the right apartment. Lacey weighed herself at her local clinic and found out she lost 16 pounds, way less than the 50 Dr. Now wanted. According to her, Sharon is starting to wise up to her brother's relationship, but we'll see how things pan out in the car. 1 week later, they're all set up and ready to go. Sharon is a bit talkative as usual, but other than that, things go smoothly the first few days. Obviously now Lacey knows how long it takes, so she made sure to schedule it correctly. Then issues pop up, causing them to fall behind schedule. Sharon is not happy.
What if this doctor says, you know what, I'm not around, you're not taking it serious?
I already talked about it.
Oh my, what is wrong with you? Man, grow the up. You 36 years old and you disgracing.
Sharon, can you grow up and stop picking on
very
Stop
grown.
picking on me all the time?
I ain't picking on you.
You're not perfect either.
Bitch, I ain't perfect. I never said I was perfect. Not one time did I say I was perfect. I've been doing all the work. You ain't done. Besides, eat and cry. Eat and cry. Eat and cry. Woman, I'm about to drop right now. Off and flip a to go right home and not give two.
Did Vivzy Pop teach this woman English? My god. So despite the issues, they managed to reach Texas on the day of the appointment. Good for them, they managed to catch up. Oh, the Texas-New Mexico border. How close is that to Houston? Oh, fuck. Here we go.
We're not gonna make it. My appointment with Dr. Now is scheduled for this evening. Well, then don't you think you should get on the phone and tell them that you ain't making it tonight? This is your second time missing this appointment? What was the first time? The first time was June?
It's like that one movie about that one painter. There is a fuse that's about to be lit.
Why did you miss this first appointment in June? Missed the first appointment in June because we couldn't get you know, like financial afford plane tickets or something. I don't remember.
Plane tickets are hella cheap right now. You mean to tell me you were supposed to go see the doctor then?
Yep, Sharon's crash out does not disappoint. There's not an ounce of mercy from her. She pulls over to the side of the road just to focus on her rant. It's like the drive can wait. This is more important.
Long time ago. Their tickets are cheap as right now. What? Tickets for my brother. You're only there with the brother. Since April.
Ricky starts to see where Sharon's coming from, and in private, he calmly tells Lacey to stop lying, but that's not good enough for his sister. He cannot be a centrist. It's either Sharon or Lacey. And by the looks of things, Ricky is choosing Sharon. She and Ricky decide to abandon Lacey at the next gas station. Afterwards, Sharon threatens to kill her. Jeez, I'm starting to feel bad for someone who took advantage of a disabled person. Sharon's just that ruthless. Also, the gas station is close to a McDonald's. That's just too poetic. Lacey calls 911 for help. She tells the police that Sharon is going sicko mode and that Ricky is abusing her. Don't dog on the third party. Nobody gets arrested, but the cops do take her to a safe place. The siblings let Lacey take her bare essentials, like her CPAP machine, but everything else in the trailer is theirs. The next day, she and Ricky meet again to discuss things more amicably, but at this point the relationship is just too far gone, so they break up. All of Lacey's belongings are donated to charity, but she has plot armor. Michelle, an acquaintance from her hometown, is also on a road trip to Houston. Lacey contacts her, the two meet up, and decide they're gonna move in together. That's just way too convenient. There's no way this isn't at least a little bit scripted. They go to Dr. Now, where Lacey finds out she's only lost 12 pounds. That's the least of her worries at the moment, though. Dr. Now decides it's best she put the weight loss on hold. Once she can get the situation under control, she's welcome to try again, but chances are she'll just make excuses like before. The move ends up getting delayed, but back in Washington, her church helped reimburse most of her items. However, plenty of photos were in that trailer, and those are irreplaceable. Lacey was by no means a hero, but goddamn, that's brutal. The crazy part is, Sharon died in 2023, while the morbidly obese Lacey is still kicking. Looks like somebody got the last laugh. It's probably wrong for me to find this entertaining, but that's what TLC is, capitalizing on people's suffering. It doesn't get any better than this. Or does it? Legend has it that one man featured on this show was so vile, so dysfunctional, that they dedicated 5 episodes to him and his family. This video is quite long, but if I included him, it could very well double in length. His insanity is getting its own separate video. As for a sequel in this specific format, I'd be down. There's plenty of episodes of this show to work with, but that'll come much later. Right now, I want to turn my focus towards Stephen Assanti. Stay tuned.